It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net. Well, we're at Friday, and that means the markets have closed for the week, and we're going to see how things turned out. And for that, we turn to Jim McCormick of agmarket.net. And Jim, what did we see coming out of that Friday?
All right, now a little bit disappointing trade for the bulls, to be quite honest. We had some really exciting export news from China today. They came in and bought a huge 1.375 million metric tons of corn today. And I think that was exciting. Then on the other story we had that really kind of got the market excited around 6 o'clock this morning, it's Indonesia has banned the export of palm oil. So you had two kind of bullish export sales that kind of surged the market early in the morning. But by the end of the day, we were under pressure as fears of an interest rate hike, as well as I think anticipation of planning progress to be done as we go into next week, seemed to kind of ring the bell and tell some of the bulls to take some profits going into the weekend.
You know, and we talked before we came on here that we were finally seeing some rain in our area, in your area, where we both seem to need it. But, you know, it got some people on edge. You know, we can plant into dry conditions, but as we said, we're not going to look a gift horse in the mouth here either.
Well, exactly. I mean, where I'm at here, folks, is in northern Illinois. We are actually under the drought monitor. We're still under the moderate drought rating. So the fact is they're talking 1 to 2 inches of rain here probably will help us in the long term, but it's definitely a little bit frustrating. A lot of guys want to get rolling. Southern Illinois, central Illinois, and some of the parts of the other Midwest, they're talking rain, but not that heavy. A lot of warm weather comes in tomorrow. So there is anticipation that the spring 22 planting season will start to pick up pace next week. It won't be a full go, Dustin, but we will start making progress. Like I said, I think that was part of the reason why we saw the market under pressure, especially in the new crop contracts.
You know, and it was interesting this morning. I mean, soybeans were double digits lower right before they closed overnight, and everything just turned around. And in fact, those sales were announced right while we were doing the podcast this morning with Matt. And it was interesting how fast, I think you said, things turned around. But of course, you know, as the day settles, things change. And let's look at the livestock side of things, Jim. What happened there today?
Well, overall, I mean, what you're looking at the livestock, there's still a lot of volatility, but, you know, the cattle market had a really good run this week on the cash market. I think overall, you've got to be optimistic on the cattle market going into the summertime. You know, the fact is there's up to $2 trillion estimated money sitting on the sidelines in people's accounts as they pretty much weren't doing anything during the pandemic the last 2 years. And that money is coming to them. You know, that money, I think, will come to the market in essence as people go on vacation and go out to eat. AAA is anticipating drivers will drive about 120% higher demand going into Memorial Day weekend than we were a year ago. So you are seeing the economy really start to open up on the service sector. As people go on vacation, that should be supportive of the beef market. The hog market's struggling a little bit near term, but overall, we see the supplies continue to tighten. And when you got the higher feed costs down the line, that should continue to tighten the supply of pork down the line, and that should be supportive, at least the deferred contracts.
All right. Of course, we've got crop progress report coming out on Monday. You know, hopefully we're not going to see much probably improvement, but we'll probably see a little bit. But, you know, as we're looking now ahead, I mean, is it kind of just, as far as report-wise goes, kind of sitting there until the WASDE comes out next month?
Well, that's it. I mean, for the most part, the two headlines we're going to be watching right now, folks, is pretty much planning progress. We'll see how much we get. And then we're also going to be looking, like I said, the export wire. Like I said, the market didn't reflect it, but we definitely had some bullish news on the exports side of the equation. It's something we need to keep an eye on. The reality is the situation in Ukraine, I think it's not getting a lot of play today on the news, but I think it's there was a Russian general that came out overnight and said, hey, the game plan right now is to control the eastern part of Ukraine and then sweep south and control the southern part of the Ukraine and pretty much take over all the ports, Odessa and all the other ones, which will pretty much force Ukraine to become a landlocked country. And that comes into question, how much grain will then be able to be exported out of that portion of the world? Remember, about a third of the world's wheat comes from that portion of the world. So if they can't get that exported, even if they are able to harvest it, or even if they're able to get the corn crop planted, will they be able to get it exported this fall? And if they can't, that is going to drive demand to the United States. You made a point. The bean oil market exploded higher this morning on this Indonesia palm oil ban. But the reality is you take Indonesia and then you take this palm oil, and then you take the sunflower oil that we get out of Ukraine. That's roughly represents 42% of the world's veg oil trade market is now off market right now. So the world situation of this tight food situation getting worse continues to get even worse by the day. And that's something we need to keep an eye on. If we struggle to get our beans in, or if the Argentina bean crop struggles late as the late season beans worried about dryness issues there, it will only tighten the world supply situation for veg oils, and it's something that could be even more explosive going into the summer.
All right, Jim. Well, a lot of great information to end the week on. We appreciate that as always. And people out there want to talk about marketing strategies with the folks at agmarket.net. How do they get in touch with you all?
You can reach me directly at 815-665-0461 or reach any of the Ag Market team members at 844-424-6758 or go to agmarket.net.
All right, Jim. Well, thanks so much for the insight, and we'll talk to you again very soon.
Thank you again for having me on, Dustin. Appreciate it.
Well, that was Jim McCormick of agmarket.net here on the market recap. Let's take a look at how the markets closed up, courtesy of the folks at Bar Chart. July corn was down 6 1/4 at 7.89 even. December new crop down 14 1/4 at 7.24 1/2. July beans down 31 1/2 at 16.88 even. November new crop 26 1/2 lower at 15.05 1/4. Soybean meal is down $11.80 at $4.5210. Soy oil up 87 cents at $80.51. Chicago wheat down 1 1/4 at $10.75 1/4. Minneapolis up 8 1/4 at $11.62 3/4. Kansas wheat up 6 at $11.49 1/2. Oats up 9 1/2 at $7.18 1/2. On the Merc, June live cattle $1.47 lower at $138.42. May feeders down 97 cents at $163.87. June lean hogs up $1.60 at $118.77. Cutouts up $1 at $124.85. Class 3 milk was up a penny at $24.32.